JoySparklebS, and does it look slanted? It looks crooked to me. I've been trying to fix it, and it's not really working because I'm not that smart. But we're just gonna keep filming anyway because I'm having fun, and I hope you guys are having fun. Side note, you're gonna see a few different videos of me in this because I try to film everything all at once because I'm effing crazy. Okay, so I don't want to make my channel all about this. By the way, if I look out of it, I am very tired. So just a heads up. Not that it matters. Just letting you know if I look funny. What was I talking about? I keep doing a lot of, let me start this. What was I talking about? I want to talk about something because I've had lots and lots of people ask about it. It's not, like, I've said this before, it's not something I want to make my whole channel about, but I realized that on the old channel, I was used to giving, like, probably weekly health updates to people. And now that I'm getting better, it's not perfect, but it's better, I don't want to make my channel all about this, but I thought, so I'll tell you kind of where I'm at with my mindset. Never wanted to make my channel all about what was going on with me, you know, with the health stuff. The thing is, if people are confused or concerned or, you know, or curious why I've changed my format, because that was what consumed my life every day, and it was awful, and I was very, very scared. And I did the thing, which I realize now, see, this is a weird thing. I was going to say I realize now was stupid or a mistake, but I don't think I made a mistake. I think that's just where I was in my life at the moment, and I don't feel like I should have to, like, apologize for that because people decided to call me awful names and misconstrue what was going on, just to be a-holes. But a lot of people have asked what's going on, so I thought I would give a big overview. And if you are new, I will give an overview. This should-ish cover some stuff in case things are confusing from the old channel to the new channel. Yeah. Also, I think I'm going to be uploading one old video a day. So want to give you guys a heads up on that in case you see old videos. That's what I'm doing or trying to do. Okay. But anyway, so I need to give you guys an update and just kind of, well, it's not really story time, maybe it's story time on what's going on with my health. If you don't know, which again, like, I hate this statement, if you've been living under a rock, because my life and what I'm going through is so important, you should know. In case you just aren't aware, you haven't been here, or you did watch the old channel, but you didn't see many of these videos. Ow, I have an itch on my ankle, hold on. Ah, okay, I got it. I have been battling mystery chronic illness for 6 years. It just progressively got worse and worse. It started in like March, I think, March-ish or April of 2013, and never got better. Well, I'm sorry, actually, I'm really happy to say it's gotten better, and I want to talk about that. So to give you guys, to fill you in, another reason I talked about on the old channel was, you know, I thought people vlogged, and I wanted to vlog my experience, you know, of what I was going through, and to show people what was going on, and then what I was able to find and possibly overcome, because maybe it could help somebody else. But good intentions don't exist on the internet. I've learned that now. But okay, so if you weren't here, yeah, quick update. I talked a lot about my health, and I got a lot of backlash for it. It was really, really shitty. Lots of harassment, lots of people calling me a scam artist, a con artist, I'm lying, this, that, and the other. Shut up, you're trying to get sympathy. And really, I was just vlogging my experience and just trying to cope with being chronically ill, and not only not having good family, but having family that are really toxic and kind of dangerous for me, which we'll have other videos about. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. We're slowly gonna get there. But okay, so yeah, mystery illness. I'll give a quick overview. It started in 2013. It started with heart issues and collapses, and just horrible heart issues. Felt like my heart was pounding out of my chest. Lots and lots of people try to tell me it's anxiety, and I'm like, I've had anxiety. I know what an anxiety and panic attack feels like. This is not that. This is physical. Like, and I'm not saying obviously anxiety can't be physical, but I know the difference between I can't breathe, my heart is racing, from an anxiety attack, and I can't get my heart and my blood to work. Something's wrong, and I'm very weak. And that's how it started. That is where it started from. But even before then, there were symptoms a couple years prior that I had missed, but I kind of understand now. In about 6 months' time, that progressed to fevers. That progressed to feeling like I had constantly the worst cold and flu you've ever had in your life. TMI, this is a lot of TMI. At the time I even started to get rashes all over my body. This is where it's really interesting. I was convinced for a while I had an STD. I've had over 13 tests, all negative. And the reason is I would get rashes, especially in like the thighs, buttocks, genital area. Again, a lot of TMI, but I'm hoping maybe this video can help somebody, so F it. And I'm not gonna be talking a lot about this. This is gonna be a one-stop video for quite a while, and I'll explain why too. So I was convinced that I must have had some horrible fucking form of herpes or mono or something, and I kept getting tested and it was negative. And I remember one doctor finally said, a couple doctors had, but there was one in particular that said, you know, what you have, because I did cultures, I did blood work, I did all of that. And I'm like, well, how am I getting these rashes? And they said, you know, you might have something that mimics it. And that's just what it is, unfortunately. It's just something else is going on. And so I kind of shifted away from that mindset, you know, but what else are you gonna think when you start having shit like that happen? What's anybody gonna think, right? And I talked to a doctor because I kept getting these tests because I heard you can get false negatives, and they were like, you're not gonna get 13 false negatives. Like, that's not gonna happen. And I was like, that's what I figure, but what is going on, right? I wasn't like stuck to the idea of this is what it is. I was just like, what else could it be? I don't know. I'm not a fucking doctor. So I dealt with it. I did notice certain things helped over the years, but it just kind of progressively got worse and worse. During this time, I was working a lot. Like I would manage 3 full-time marketing campaigns. I was making a fuck ton of money, and I was working towards, hold on, of course I gotta nose it, because it starts to vibrate. And the big thing was I was working towards, you know, my dream of being a singer and working on this big demo for what was it? I think Interscope and Sony. So I was pretty excited. I had an awesome producer. If you guys saw the modeling pictures, go check out the modeling pictures. You'll see the modeling pictures. I'll just tell you guys when I got like the last crop I got of those. That was like October 2012. So about 6-ish months later is when the shit hit the fan with my body. Another symptom was, you know, those pictures you saw was like 105 pounds. I started to slowly gain weight that I couldn't get off, and it was impossible. And I didn't, you know, it was like, what the fuck? A lot of inflammation. I tell people the feeling was like it felt like I was in a microwave and being electrocuted from the inside. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And I did notice some things helped. Sweating helped. So like on my way home from work, as exhausted as I was, I would blast the heat trying to sweat. Sweating did help. So, you know, certain things did kind of help, but nothing got rid of it. And you know, and it just got worse and worse. From there, I ended up, so that went on for, oh God, I'm trying to think how long. That went on for a couple years. I was in Kansas City, and then I came out to Oklahoma City because I had a contract. The easiest way to explain it is I had a marketing contract through the NBA with another company. And I dealt, like, it was really fun. I managed a footprint. I managed a, oh my God, excuse me. I managed a fashion show with one of the top NBA players in the country. I got to work alongside of him. And I got to manage a staff of, I mean, it was a great time, but I was really sick. And again, no family support, and family is just the most toxic people in the world. And I was alone, and it was really scary. In fact, fun note, we'll get into this. I don't want to say too much about it right now, but in regard to my family, my mom decided, and she's done this for several years. We're talking several years. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just mentally ill. Funny enough, she's mentally ill and on meds. Same with my sister. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Corey. And they decided that, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. Well, my mom did. I need to be in a mental hospital. What the fuck? How does that make sense? We'll back, but that's actually later in the story. So I'll keep going. And my battery's gonna die. Hold on, let me change it out. Okay, better? Yep, I think we're good. Good with the battery. And the focus seems to be okay. Fingers crossed. Okay, so came to Oklahoma City, had a great time, about a month into being here, and I was also working other contracts as well. Met roommate. We met in an airport. I'll pull up, I have a story time about this if you guys want to see it. I'll put the story time up of how I met roommate. Also my dress is banging, and it's got little pink flowers. I love that dress. Oh, so many clothes that I can't wait to wear. But okay. So met roommate, and just, you know, and I was kind of stable-ish. I tried, you know, doctors had failed me at that point. I tried a naturopath, and oh my God, I'll do a story time about this at some point. It was such a scam. You know, health is so hard that it's like one of those things where I can't really, I would never try to advise you guys, because number one, I'm not a doctor. Number two, you know, there are so many shitty people across the spectrum. You know, the healthcare system is not designed for people with chronic mystery illness. They still don't understand autoimmune. They don't understand fibromyalgia. There's so much that's not understood, but that millions of people, and increasingly alarming rates, are getting across the country and across the world. I have theories on that. I might get into my theories one day, but you know, I don't truly fucking know what's going on. But again, this will have a positive outcome, so stick with me. Stick with me, it's not all negative. But I kind of, you know, I was still sick, but I was able to somewhat stay homeostasis. I did notice in times of stress it got worse. Illness absolutely got worse. And I would have flare-ups. So what would happen is I might have a week of being sick and a week off of being sick, you know, give or take some variable days. But as I, you know, got to really get my job down, the job was fun, you know, ended up being really easy once you got it down. It's like, you know, the kind of jobs I do with marketing, I did a lot of event marketing. I've done all kinds of marketing, but a lot of event marketing. And you're thrown into a situation where within a few hours you have to learn this, you know, megaplex of a system, and then promote it to people and manage everybody around it and teach them. It can be an absolute crazy learning curve, but once you get it down, it's easy and it's really fun. But first week or two can be hell, depending on what it is. So, you know, I was still sick, still sucked, but it slowly, like I was able to maintain. I was still able to work, but barely. Like I'd be in front of a client feeling like I'm having a heart attack and just having to breathe through it. I would tell people sometimes, I'm like, it's like my blood's not flowing correctly and I don't understand why. There were all these, like, you know, I'm really in tune with my body. I'm really good at feeling what's going on in detail. I've just always been a sensitive person like that. And I just felt these symptoms and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And you know, so many people tried to scream at me anxiety, yet they would see a fever. And I'm like, that means I'm sick. Like, that's not anxiety. A fever, I would talk to doctors, and some doctors agreed, and some doctors, you know, a couple of them kind of argued with me about this, because you'll get some asshole doctors who they either can't admit they don't know what's going on, or they think they know everything. And then when they don't know, their go-to is anxiety. And that's also their way to kind of cover their ass. The medical system gets really, really stupid. But it was when I took on, it was once the MBA contract ended, because of course the MBA is seasonal, and I took on another contract, and it was an incredibly stressful contract. Basically, I was working with some younger people who didn't really know how to manage shit, and they constantly stressed out. And they were constantly trying to stress me out, and it was a fucking mess. And my health plummeted at that point. Plummeted. The job was also very, very hard. It's just, you know, event marketing can be very, very tough work. It's some of the hardest work when it comes to being in the industry. Like, it's tough physically, it's tough mentally, it's very, very difficult. Because it's very physically difficult because you're going and you're setting up and putting all this stuff and breaking down, but then you're also, you know, and you have to be on and talking to people and doing all that and being busy, but then you also battle the elements, which in Oklahoma are scary. There's a lot of fucking scary tornadoes that come out here. Holy shit, I have a story time about driving in a tornado. Tornadoes are scary as fuck. Where I live, we've had like a few of the biggest, most destructive tornadoes in the world. Not even kidding. That is not an exaggeration. You can look this shit up. Okay, anyways, I'm really deviating, but this is what I do, and I hope you enjoy it or entertained. It was at that, so what happened was I was just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. But I was still, you know, a lot of people are like, where does the weight come in? I'll get that. Because I was still able to somewhat maintain my weight. I would go back and forth between 110 to 120-ish pounds. But, you know, maybe even up to 125, depending. It was just, I never knew what my body was doing. It was almost impossible to keep my weight in check. And I mean, I had the best fucking diet. I was a pretty hardcore vegetarian at that point, which ended up fucking me over later, which we'll talk about. So anyways, what happened, something in my eye, is that my health got so bad, and with what was going on with my health, I didn't realize this at the time, but I knew it to a degree, but it really affects your cognitive abilities. Like, I knew my cognitive abilities were being affected, but we didn't know what it was, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And so I wasn't always thinking and acting rationally. Now, I mean, what I mean by that is like, solutions that might look simple to everybody else, everything was just terrifying to me, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't really able to think clearly, which is what a lot of people also saw sometimes on YouTube, which was why they said mental illness. And what I actually have, you know, mimics mental illness. You can have kind of temporary forms of mental illness with this. It's not a joke, by the way. We're going to get to exactly what happened and the outcome. Well, the what we're working on. So my contracts ended, and I decided, and I feel so stupid about this now, but I was like, you know what? I lived in Europe. I lived in France for 2 years, and I worked with a guy, awesome guy, in the mid-2000s. And so I still friends with him, and he said, hey, why don't you come back here, and we'll, you know, we have a great healthcare system, and they do. I trust their healthcare system more than the United States, and we're gonna figure out what's going on, because nobody can figure it out here. And I'm like, okay. So I packed up, and I literally, like, I was rolling in money at that point. I made so much money. I paid for an apartment in the south of France for 6 months. I was going to be staying there and working on getting better. The problem is, there were a couple problems. The biggest one I would say, because there were a couple things, but the big one was that trying to renew my paperwork while I was over there, they had just changed some laws with visas I didn't know about, and I had the wrong visa going over there to try to renew, you know, temporary stay or whatever. And I was like, okay, so I had to come back. And I think I was there for like 2 months. And so I came back, and I was really excited because I'm like, okay, I have this apartment. And then right before I came back, I was offered a job. Now, here's the interesting thing. The interesting thing is, when I was in Europe, I was still sick, but it was better. I don't know if it's because I was less stressed. I think there was a combination of things. I think, like, I mean, again, I was still sick, but it was more manageable. I think part of it was I was kind of like on vacation, you know, so there wasn't stress. Stress activates what's going on, crazy. I also think their food and water is a lot different than ours, which, again, these are all, like, I have like 10 story times in what I'm telling you. But the moment I got back on that plane, it was immediate health issues. I noticed plane rides were absolutely horrific, where I've been a frequent traveler. I've traveled all over the world. I've traveled a lot. I've been on a lot of planes. I don't mind air travel. I mean, I hate fucking coach. Actually, I've never sat in first class. It's something I'd love to have the money just to be like first class, because coach is a fucking mess, unless, you know, the plane is empty, and then it's fun. Where was I going with this? Shit! What was I saying? Come on, brain. So I came back, and the thing is, for my visa, I was gonna have to wait a couple months, and I got a contract literally for 2 months of work. I'm like, well, fuck it. This contract was very, very stressful. Marketing can be great, or it can be your worst fucking nightmare. It really depends on the clients, your bosses, the contract, the people, you know, who you work with. And the people were great. Everybody was great. The contract was hell. It was absolute hell. And it wasn't, you know, it was just, there were company policies, and then it just, you know, I was back in Kansas City. Kansas City was not the right market. If you guys are wondering about roommate, we decided to, you know, break up at this point when I went to France, because we didn't think I was coming back. Roommate, in that time, I helped him go back to school. He had 1 more year of school to do. I helped him get back to my old MBA job. I kind of gifted it to him. And I set him up, you know, I helped him and set him up so that he could go back to school and just work part-time and be totally okay. So in case you guys are wondering, but we kept in touch. We kept in touch a lot. A lot. Kansas City is when everything just, like, bottomed out in my life. Absolutely bottomed out. When I came back. And that now we're looking at, so we would be looking at late 2015 going into 2016. The contract was stressful, stressed out my body. I started having really, really bad stomach issues. And that's where you see all of this start to come into play, because at least before then I could look normal. I'll try to remember to throw up some pictures during the video so you can see what I looked like, you know, right before the stomach stuff. And it was like, what happened was, I was in the middle of cold and flu season, and it was like whatever was going on with my body was so stressful, my body was like, we can't handle anything else. What it felt like was I got a stomach bug that never went away. Never went away. Now, I'm not saying that was the case, that's what it felt like. And I do think though, I have learned you can get a bad stomach virus that can give you IBS and fuck up your system. And I think that in conjunction with other things, because I got a stomach bug, and then right as I was getting over it, I got a sinus infection and a cold that I just couldn't get rid of. And it just started to snowball. I started to have these heart issues that I was having started to do, like, I was fighting blackout spells when I would be driving. And I would, you know, I didn't want to black out while I'm driving, so I would fight it, and it was the worst. And it's happened probably over 20 times. Scariest thing. And it was like, it was like a blood sugar drop, but it wasn't blood sugar. But it took a while, and it took food to get my body to calm down. I didn't understand what was going on at the time. I still don't fully understand it all, but I was terrified, and I started having the stomach issues, and slowly I started gaining weight. I think I gained in, like, what, from January to June, I gained like 15-ish pounds. I went from like 115 to 130. And I got so sick, and roommate and I had still kept in contact. He was like, that's it, I'm coming to get you. Oh, and you might be asking about France. I decided for many reasons not to go back. My visa got renewed. I could go back. It just didn't feel right. And at that point, the other thing was, like, this was another big thing. I knew I couldn't get on a plane again. I knew I physically couldn't. I knew that's how sick I was. I was like, I can't make that plane ride. There's no fucking way. Even if I wanted to, there's no way. So I decided that that wasn't the right situation for me, and it sucked. I had 6 months of an apartment paid for in the south of France I never even got to use. Ugh. But at that point, I had a lot of, like, what I call fuck you money. So I was disappointed, but, you know, it is what it is. And by the way, the trip was beautiful. I had so much fun on that trip. I'll do some story times of that trip. That was I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I went. I feel like that was like my vacation before the absolute horror and hell of the last couple years happened health-wise. Okay, so anyway, no, it's almost 3 years. Wow, it's almost 3 years ago. Holy shit. Okay, so roommate comes to get me, and at this point, and there were other symptoms too. I started getting asthma again. I had asthma when I was little. Really, really horribly bad asthma. And through meditation, diet, exercise, herbal supplements and remedies and alternative medicine, I mostly overcame it. It would only be an issue like if my lungs could be weak at times. Like if I got a bad cold or something. But, you know, I do have nebulizers and stuff, but it hadn't been an issue for years. I got so weak that I had a hard time walking. The physical pain was so fucking extreme. There's no way to explain it to anybody. It was my worst nightmare, and I was really scared I was gonna die. I was horribly, horribly scared. At this point, I had gotten hospitalized. So right before roommate came to get me, so it was in April, I went up to the ER, and I was like, hey, I'm not okay. And that's when they picked up on my fever and the irregular EKG. At this point, the fevers were pretty consistent. It would be about a week of fevers, maybe 1 or 2 days off. And they hospitalized me, and they had all these tests and all these things and couldn't find it. And that's when my mom decided to do her campaign again. My mother's fucking wonderful. Hi, Kathy King. Kathy King. I hope it was worth it to go on locale and fuck over your daughter and be mother of the year, right? So she tried to tell everybody I need to go to a mental hospital, and I'm like, bitch, I'm having fevers. They caught that there's something wrong with my heart. Even the doctor said something's going on. We just can't figure out what it is. Something is affecting your heart. And then what they wanted me to do was to do infectious disease, but at that point I wasn't insured, and I just didn't have the money it was going to cost. More than that, though, is that I was so sick, I needed rides to doctor's offices, to hospitals, to do what they were recommending. Nobody was willing to help me. I have a great fucking family. Nobody was willing to help me even get there. And you might think, well, take a taxi or Uber. Where I was at the time, it was so far outside of the Kansas City metro, so it was towards more the boonies and the sticks. Uber doesn't go out there, or it didn't at the time. I don't know about now, because that was 2 years ago. And neither do taxis. So I was fucked. and roommate knew what was going on and knew how sick I was, and finally was like, I'm coming to get you, I don't care. And I'm like, no, I'm because I was still working the job, and so he's like, I'm coming to get you. So he came to get me. And it was funny because coincidentally, around the same time, the contract ended. Just wasn't working well in Kansas City. Shout out, I had a really awesome staff. Shout out to the staff, you know who you are. They're probably not watching this. Well, actually, funny enough, one of them I know actually reached out to me during the Daddy 05 stuff. He's like, are you Joy? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, don't fuck with me. I'm like, don't fucking tell anybody. He's like, oh my god, you're doing great. I need you to see your videos. So I don't think they watch at this point, but if one of them does, hey boo hey, thank you so much for all your help. So okay, so we'll keep going. It was having roommate come was a godsend because I just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And that's when that's when the weight started to slowly come on, and the health food backfired. Because when and it was IBS, it was like diarrhea, it was awful. And again, it was like having a really horrible stomach bug that would never go away. The worst cold, flu, and stomach virus you've ever had in your life rolled into one with all these other issues. And I know there are symptoms I'm forgetting. I know that there are symptoms I'm forgetting. But it was just really, really awful and really, really scary. And so I was with roommate, and we were in Oklahoma, and he had just graduated school. And, oh yeah, another one. Shout out to Philip Schlicker, who used to give interviews on LolCow. You fucking asshole. He was the one that tried to dox our old address because he was the only one that knew it, because one night he had to call an ER for me because I would get so dehydrated and nothing would stay in my system that I needed an IV. So thank you, Phil. I know that's you that put that out, and you've admitted to interviews. You little nasty cuck, dating 14-year-old girls when you're 19, 13 to 14. Possible pederast. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? I don't know if he watches my videos obsessively. I would assume he does because he's got that kind of personality. So yeah, if you're watching Phil, or you guys know Phil, you are just the scum of the earth. You deserve every ounce of mental illness that you have. You really do. And I hope you don't actually get better with any of your shit until you fix yourself, because you're a piece of shit for the shit you did to me. The hell is wrong with you? Sorry, you're gonna get a lot of mini side rants and shit, but you know what? We're gonna have some fun, I hope, so it doesn't matter. So, Roomy didn't know, he had very gently, he was the best person to be around for this illness stuff. He didn't know what was going on, but he was so kind and loving and supportive, and yeah. And so what I did though was I did find a person to work with, a wonderful doctor who did help turn around certain symptoms. And I had worked with her from a distance, and she said, okay, because we talked, she's like, before we do anything, we have to fix the collapses. We have to fix you collapsing and the heart issues as much as we can. So she thought my adrenals, my cortisol, all these different things were off in my body, and she was right. And so I did a bunch of tests and different things, and did a bunch of testing, did all of that, and that's when we saw a lot of my major vitamins, minerals were low, as well as my copper was funny. So, but she said, okay, we're just gonna focus on this. And I'm like, okay, just getting my body working. So I got a bunch of meds that did help over time, that, with the collapses and stuff. It did help. And it helped with some of the heart issues. So I do give her a lot of credit for that. And it was, if you guys wanna know what happened and what we have come to find out it was, this is so fucking stupid. In 2010, I got the Paragard IUD. Paragard IUD. It is an IUD that is copper. It's got a copper coil. And they told me the only real side effect is that some women can get their uterus perforated, but it's like 0.0000001% of women. Don't worry about it. And that is what we believe now is the catalyst of all of the issues, all of them. And the way I found that out was I had seen an article about breast implant illness, and by Hugh Hefner's widow, Crystal Harris, I think it was. And a lot of her symptoms, I was like, I have those symptoms, but of course I don't have breast implants. That's crazy. And she talked about having silicone leakage from her breast implants and all of this. And she talked about, how sick she was, and that other people can have the same situation if they have a foreign device in their body. It doesn't have to be breast implants. And I was like, ha ha, thank God I don't have. And then I stopped and I thought about the IUD, and I went, oh shit. And literally I told roommate, he looked at the symptoms, he's like, you have all of them of IUD, of being sick with an IUD. And I was like, oh my God, could this be it? Could this be it? And come to find out it was. We found out the pain was fibromyalgia. But that's the thing, that's a really big blanket term for just any sort of chronic pain. And that's kind of where we started from. So I called this doc, talked to her. She's like, this makes sense with everything I've seen on your chart and your copper levels and everything else. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. And so from there, we started slowly working on the copper. And she said she didn't want to do it aggressively. She's like, because she said heavy metal poisoning is extremely, extremely difficult to go through. Your body is so wrecked, you would not be able to handle it. We're not going to really work on getting the copper out. We will slowly. I'm going to have you do some things that will help keep homeostasis, but we need to fix some other stuff so you can function first. And she was right. She was 100% right, because getting rid of heavy metal toxicity is one of the most painful experiences I've ever gone through. And I'm somebody, I have a high threshold for pain. I'm a very type A personality. I'm a very like driven to succeed and you know, move mountains and do miracles kind of person. So what happened was we started working on it, and that's when I decided, you know, I was living off of savings from when I made a lot of money, and I was like, you know what? I got very, very depressed. People who, if you haven't been around this, it's not gonna make sense if you've never dealt with this or been around this. Chronically ill people, there is mental illness issues, and it's not because you're mentally ill. It's because the symptoms of being physically sick make it so that you can't have an enjoyable life, which brings depression, and it can bring anxiety when you're scared. I get very irritated when people, you know, like to talk about, you know, like mental illness when it comes to this stuff, only because I'm like, a person isn't mentally ill who's sick. They're sick. Like, there's an obvious reason why they're going through this. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with their mind. There's something wrong with their body where they can't enjoy their life. And it caused a lot of depression because I couldn't go anywhere. I haven't been to, like, you wouldn't think it looking at me, but I haven't been out to a restaurant in literally, how long has it been? 2 years? We went to one restaurant about 3 months into me being back in Oklahoma, and I was having issues and we couldn't do it. So I think it's 2 years. 2 years? 2 years, sorry, 2 years. I have not physically seen one friend in 2 years. And I have some networks of people that, you know, I've had a few people that reach out and say, hey, let me know if you need anything, but when you're sick like this, it's like, what? I can't really go out and do shit. You know, I can't be like other people. It was so severe. I was terrified to leave the house because I'd have collapses and stuff. I would go down the street to try to get food and I'm fighting a collapse. It was very, very scary. But I will say, we got the IUD out. Thank God, Planned Parenthood. Thank you, Planned Parenthood. They didn't argue with me or anything. They did go, are you sure you're sure? And I'm like, yes, get it out. They got it out for me, and they were really good to me. I remember, and I'll do a story time about this, but when I went in, I was going to cancel the appointment because I was so sick I couldn't walk. I was having one of those days. And roommate was like half carrying me in. And I had a really horrible fever, and I didn't know if I could physically even be in there. Like, it got, I'm telling you, it got very, very scary with my health. And I remember the moment they took it out, it was like all of this, I felt all of this inflammation inside, like my, you know, my lower abdomen crotch area, just like all of a sudden started to vanish, and I didn't have any idea how irritated and inflamed that area was. I kept getting a lot of, like, again, TMI, yeast infections when I had it. Didn't know why. I'd never had a lot of them before, and I think and that was part of it, having this device in me. And I remember as we were in the car, some of my symptoms started to subside, and I was like, oh my God, I think this was part of it. The problem is, because of all the damage it did, it causes flare-ups. It ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows and ebbs and flows, back and forth, back and forth. So there was never it's just, there hasn't been a completely better, it's been a progression. And then I got on YouTube, because that was in late July, I got the IUD out, and then fast forward, depression, anxiety, you know, being sick, it was really, really shitty, and then finally, I decided to put some Onision videos up. Because it was funny. I remember I filmed one, not even thinking about putting it up, and then a couple friends convinced me because they saw it. They're like, yeah, this is good. And I'm like, okay, why not? And that's what started YouTube. It wasn't planned. I mean, it was something I always wanted to try. It was something I thought I could be good at, you know, but like, I didn't know what I was doing. And then anyway, so that's the progression, and that's what you saw on YouTube. I am gonna give you guys an update though. I'm sorry, that was a really, really long story, but I'm going to give an update because a lot of people have asked. So here's the update, and the title of my videos might be confusing, so I'm going to explain. So I worked with that doctor to turn some stuff around, and we got to where I wasn't collapsing nearly as much. Thank God. That was the worst. I'd be mid-sleep, and my body would wake me up passing out, and I would be fighting all these heart issues. It was horrible. So it would strike at any time, and I never knew when it was going to strike. Mix that in with the constant stomach stuff. I couldn't keep liquids in me, so I was dehydrated, and that would fuck with things too. I'm just like thinking what a scary mess this was right now. It was absolutely terrifying. But what ended up happening, what overall happened with everything is this. I ended up deleting my channel, as you guys know, from all the severe harassment and stuff. And when I deleted my channel, before then, it was, I think in July or August, I finally was like, I'm so sick, I need more help. I need more help. Part of what was going on, thank you Repsion for this, was that Repsion decided for 6 weeks to tease that video and put out a lot of nasty, half-threatening comments. This is stuff you guys probably haven't seen, because some people look at the video and they're like, Joy, it's just him giving his opinion, what's the big deal? I'm like, it was the 6 weeks leading up to it. It was the you're not sick, I'm gonna expose you and destroy your life so you have nowhere to run, you scam artists, like it was just, and that brought on stress, which brought on lots of symptoms. That's why if I looked really unstable at that point, that was part of it. It stressed me out and gave me anxiety to where I was just horrifically sick and one plays off the other. And so I got another doctor here, and this doctor was wonderful, and I still have her as a doctor. Absolutely wonderful, sat and listened to me, and I lucked out. This doctor had worked in a gynecologist office for 17 years, knew all about IUD sickness. She's like, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get you where you need to be. And she helped massively and majorly. At that point, I got on prednisone. I was on prednisone for like 8 months. Yeah, didn't help all of this either. But the prednisone was what helped me function during that time, and the prednisone helped me get through the next phase. So as you guys saw, I deleted my channel, was still working with this doc. You know, they thought there were a few things going on, like for a while, because my grandmother has polymyalgia rheumatica and that shit runs in my family. I had markers of that, but then they couldn't nail it down. There were several things that they kept trying and couldn't quite figure out what was going on. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a hair test. I'm going to get a hair test for copper toxicity. And I found an amazing woman to help me with that. And what had happened with my doctor is I still see her when I need stuff, but she basically said, except for the colonoscopy, you're out of options. Because I went to her and I'm like, the fibro is still horrible. The pain is still horrible. What do I do? And she's like, literally my doctor says, try alternative. Because at this point, unless you want to go on hard drugs, there's not a lot we can do. I tried gabapentin, didn't work for me at all. Tried Lyrica, it worked for a couple weeks and then came back and it was even worse than it was before. So at that point she's like, we would need to get you on like pain meds. And I'm like, I don't want that. She's like, I know, so try natural. And that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to now look really aggressively, because here was where I was at. I thought naively that the copper toxicity, you know, that happened with the other doctor that we've been working on, that whatever little tricks we did, well, must have worked because I've been working on it for a year or so. Wrong. I had no clue. Oh, I woke up, Macy. I'm sorry, Macy. I had no fucking clue. I had no clue. Absolutely not. So I found a person to do a hair test. Wonderful, wonderful specialist to work with. Like angel person. I've decided one day I've talked to her about this. When I grow the channel, I'm going to sit down with her and we're going to do an interview and talk about everything. Not ready for that at all, but one day. So she sat and explained everything in detail and explained the process. And basically what we were going to do is, and I was really skeptical. I was really skeptical because, like I said, I've met a lot of charlatans and scam artists when it comes to natural medicine. There's a lot out there. The problem is natural medicine, when Western medicine fails you, when everything else fails you, it can be a great alternative. It can be. I always tell people, check out the medical route first, of course, and if all of that fails you and you come up with every roadblock and you're out financially, try the alternative. It's like, why the fuck not? So anyway, my specialist, talked to me about it. We did my hair test, and I'm thinking they're not going to find, nobody ever finds anything. Copper was high. Aluminum was high. Had some mercury. I was really, really shocked. Really, really shocked. There were signs of infections in my body, which that was funny that they wanted me to go to infectious disease when I, was hospitalized, because they're like, you show signs of infection. Like my white cells, or there's certain indicators and markers. I don't remember it all now, but they said you show signs of infection. We just can't figure out what's going on. So basically, from my results, we got me on a very aggressive supplement program. And I remember, I'll do a story time about this. It actually, while I was waiting for the supplements to come, I thought, I'm gonna do this on my own. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was... Camera just stopped filming for no reason. Sometimes it does this. But, sorry if you see that, but sorry, there's been 2 cuts in here now. But yeah, no, I was stupid. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, let's be very fucking clear. Let's be very fucking clear right the fuck now. I went and got spirulina and chlorella, and I took the highest doses it recommends. Oh my God. Yeah, that was crazy intense, crazy intense. I'm going to save that for now. I'm going to do a story time about that to kind of let people know, you know, what I experienced with that, because that was almost psychedelic for me. I'm not even kidding. And I'll explain why later. That was absolutely crazy, but it helped. It made me very, very violently stomach sick, but it helped. And so I told my doc, and my doc's like, you know, we don't recommend it. She's like, I wouldn't recommend doing it, and here's why. I went into the details about why they don't and what the program is I'm on. And I got my I got my stuff, and you know, my doc's really big on knows how sensitive I am. Go slow, go slow, go slow. And I'm like, okay. So I got on the supplement program, and a lot of it was to build back up because I still had so many deficiencies, vitamins, minerals, and I was on lots of supplements. I was like before that, you know, lots of vitamins. Like, how is everything still so low? And you know, what I was explained is that when you are heavy metal toxic, it can make your body very deficient and not able to absorb stuff correctly, especially in my case with the IBS. The stomach issues that were happening, I couldn't absorb stuff correctly. So my specialist is like, we have to build your system back up, and we're gonna do it in a way where we can try to get rid of the copper gently. But y'all know me, I don't typically do things gently. I dive head first into a shallow pool. And I was like, I want the most aggressive route, I want this over with. Which I'm glad I did. And I sometimes, you know, once I figured out what my body could handle, I would double up on certain things that were aggressively to get out copper certain days. It was hell, because it was crazy realizing it's not just copper toxicity. Where's all this aluminum coming from? Which I will have videos about this later. You know, and the thing is, when you get one toxicity, like of metal or something else, or where your system is depleted, your immune system's depleted, it leaves you wide open where your body can't filter other shit correctly. On top of where we lived in Oklahoma City has some of the worst fucking water in the country, like when it comes to chemicals and heavy metals and all kinds of stuff. So the process of getting heavy metal poisoning out of your system is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly painful. So whatever pain I was experiencing from the fibromyalgia was 2 or 3 times magnified. The stomach issues for a while were worse. But I've also been through this with the tumor and other things where I know sometimes when you're trying to get better, the symptoms get worse at first, you know? God, that sounds like that jelly juice, and I promise you this isn't anything like that. I want to do a video on jelly juice because that shit is scary. That is very scary. In my situation, we were just building my immune system. We were doing things to build my minerals, my vitamins, build my system up and get this stuff out in a way that was building it up. People might ask, why didn't you do chelation therapy? I was told I would not be good for it because my symptoms and the shit was so severe. Chelation therapy, it's very expensive and it can backfire. It can make you sicker. And part of it is because what you're doing is you're ripping the shit out of your system and bringing it up, but you're not replacing it with anything. So your body can replace it with toxic shit or even more metals. That's why the program I'm on builds everything up. It builds up your system. I am really happy to announce, incredibly happy. First of all, I'm not 100% better, but all of that, I'm being electrocuted from the inside pain. Damn it, I'm not gonna get emotional. It's gone. It's gone. I think I'm beating fibromyalgia. And that's huge because you're not supposed to. They don't know what it is, there's no cure. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful. I didn't think this was gonna happen. Now I wanna say this. I'm not one of those people, you know how sometimes people go through something and then they try to transpose, well, you need to do this because it worked for them, to everything. You know, like somebody could have had a mole that they removed and you've got cancer. Well, you need to try this. Like, you know what I'm saying? People do that kind of shit. I'm not that person. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the way I'm dealing with my health is the way you should deal with yours. Because I think, I'll tell you, here's my opinion. We don't still know a lot about fibromyalgia. We know it affects cognitive abilities, gives brain fogs, memory issues, you know, things like that. We know that they talk about brain fog, and I still get brain fogs. I still get flare-ups. But that I'm feeling electrocuted from the inside pain, the weakness, that I can't walk is gone. Something else happened too. All the heart pain. I would have heart pain, chest pain, and back pain that was all associated right in the same area. It's gone. It's been gone for months. Months. We're almost in September, right? I started this program I started it on Christmas. It's Christmas. It was funny, Christmas Day was when I took the spirulina and the chlorella, the spirulina and chlorella, and then a few days later I got my vitamin. No, actually, it was a couple weeks before Christmas I started, and I did the spirulina and the chlorella, and then it was right around Christmas I got my supplements and stuff. So I've been working on this, what is that, June is 6 months, July, 8 months. I would say the turning point came in like March or April. Where I think probably April, where a lot of those symptoms really started to subside. I'm mostly pain-free. Now I do, like you saw in the other video, I do get flare-ups. And those can be, now I want to explain, those can be a lot of extreme headaches, and that's fibro. I can tell the difference between a regular headache and a fibro headache. What used to happen was that fibro headaches start a lot of times, the brain fog's happening, it's like in between your spine and like the skull, right, that area, and then it spreads to your whole body where it's like I'm being electrocuted. It no longer spreads. I get shitty headaches, and I do get some types of pain, but it's nothing like what it was. And every time I have a flare-up now, my body's getting rid of stuff, so it gets better and better and better. We've just been inching over the last few months to better, and I'm really grateful. I am not yet ready to talk about who I'm working with. I am not yet ready to come out with exactly what I'm doing, because I feel like, and I'll tell you why, and this is why I'm going to keep my health more on the down low. Well, number one, it isn't bothering me as much. The big thing right now that bothers me more than anything is the weight. It's awful. I hate it. But I've accepted that it's here right now. And this is just part of what it has to do, because a lot of the pain, I still get inflammation. Really bad inflammation. That's a part of what you saw in that one video where I just looked like hell. But it's not this extreme fibro pain like I had before. It's nothing like that where, I mean, people who would suffer from chronic pain, there are days where you could commit suicide, not because you are mentally ill, not because you want to die, but because the pain is so bad. You just need release from physical pain. Awful, absolutely. It is, when I was younger, I've had some depression issues and suicidal feelings, like teenage years and stuff that that I had learned to deal with. But this is different. When you have physical pain, it's very different than the emotional stuff. Not that I'm just counting the emotional, but wow, it's very different. So I am really happy to say that I am mostly fibromyalgia pain-free, and I'm really excited because I feel like I set out what I wanted to do as I came on YouTube. When I came on YouTube, I wanted to make, I made some Onision videos. I didn't know where it was going to go. I just wanted to make friends. I didn't know the channel was going to blow up, and I wanted to meet people maybe who was going through what I were going through, and we could support each other. But then as the channel grew, I decided I'm going to be a voice for chronically ill people, and I want to try to find solutions and talk about it so that other people know when modern medicine fails you, there are other options. And the option I have isn't expensive. What I'm doing is very affordable. In fact, I've decided when I get better, I want to learn everything about what my specialist does. I don't really want to practice it. But I'd like to be certified. I want to learn because it's helped me. And you might be asking the stomach stuff because I used to really bitch about that. We're fixing that too. That one will be for later, and I'll tell you why. Is that I've only been doing it for about 2 or 3 months. I'm the kind of person, before I talk about it, I want to do it for a while. I want to see results, and I am. I'm seeing massive results, but the problem is the weight is still an issue because I still get a lot of inflammation because my body is healing. It's just what it is, and I've had to accept that it is this way. Depending on the day, it is a little easier to maintain to an extent the weight, even though it's a lot. But I just wanted to tell you guys that's where I'm at. And if you guys see a change in my videos, if I seem happier, a lot of people are like, man, you're funny, or you're this. When I never saw that side of you, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good. I couldn't be myself. And now as I feel better, I can be myself more and more and more. And I'm just so grateful and elated and happy that I can really, show my personality and really be me, like without all this pain and stuff that I have to hide, where it's just like I feel like I'm dying inside and I've got to force a smile. It's hard. It's hard, and a lot of y'all who watch me, you guys know this. You know what I'm talking about. It's very difficult. So I wanted to give one huge update, and I want to tell you guys I will not be talking about this much. The next video you'll see about this is going to be me talking about how I fixed my IBS. I don't see that coming for a few months. And then after that, I will sit and I will talk about exactly what I've done and exactly what I'm doing, and tell you guys and let you know. So if it helps you, great. But I'm kind of like, I like to be a little scientist with this stuff on myself. I want to give this at least a good year and see what's happening, but I'm excited. And I'm waiting for the day that my body gets to a point where it just is able to let this weight go and I can just eat all the healthy food I want. And it's coming. It's coming, and I'm excited. So I hope that fills you in. And I want to say this too. If you've got mystery illness, you don't know what's going on, you've got fibromyalgia, there's nothing that works, all of these different things, you know, autoimmune illness, whatever. I encourage people, if you have the money and the means, and with your doctor's support, go talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but this is something you can ask your doctor about. Try a heavy metal test because you never know. Like, health, I've learned a lot of times, is a big puzzle. Typically, there's not one thing. Like in my case, they would try to nail something out. Well, it's fibromyalgia. I'm like, yeah, but there are all these other symptoms. Well, it's IBS. Yeah, but there are these other symptoms. It's a puzzle piece. Sometimes it starts with one catalyst and it makes a whole host of issues. A whole fucking host of issues, right? Like my asthma came back. So since I've done this since March, I'm once a month in the ER because my lungs aren't working and I gotta get a shot of steroid. I hate it, but it is what it is. And it's because I'm getting rid of stuff. Aluminum especially gets in the lungs, which makes, there's certain things where I'm like, oh, it makes sense now why my asthma happened at this age, around this time when I did this, you know, where I was around something that was high aluminum. Like there's so many things now that I'm starting to see that make sense. So I'm only telling you this if you don't know what's going on and you run out of options and you're thinking of trying to find another option. Try a heavy metal test, try a hair test, because you never know what all is lurking in your body that could be doing something damaging. And heavy metals can do so much damage we're not aware of. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known years ago. I feel like had I known about this, and you know what, had I had supportive family that actually love and give a shit about me and not just are there for the good times to make themselves look good, but actually care about my health and well-being. Hey mom, hey Corey, you know, this could have been different. I wouldn't have had to gain 140 pounds, but unfortunately, sometimes when you're chronically sick, you have shitty family, and that's what's happened with me. Shitty fucking family, mean people who are jealous of, it took me many years to understand, they're jealous of me, they're jealous of my success, they're jealous of the fact that if I'm the kind of person, if I want to do something, give me a couple weeks, let me set my mind to it, I'll fucking do it. Crazy shit, you know, and lots and lots of jealousy between those two. And had I had the right support system, I could have dealt with this better. But you know what? I just look at it and I say, whatever, this is my spirituality, by the way, not telling y'all what to think. Whatever the universe is or isn't, whatever God is or isn't, something, I have a firm belief, something put me in these situations and put me on this path for a reason. And I almost wonder if it's so that maybe it was supposed to get on YouTube, grow an audience, and try to give this information to other people. Not because I'm Jesus coming to heal you, but you know, I think with chronic illness, we kind of become our own detectives, and we become one another's detectives and supports, and we, you know, have to try to figure things out, and we share that information in hopes it can help other people. And maybe that's part of what I'm going through, is just a journey of trying to help other people. I did this crazy video, and then I'm gonna go in just a second, I promise, and this is really long, but I did this crazy video I opened it, I laugh now, but I opened up to people about this really big insecurity. By the way, it's one I've overcome. I was a former New Ager, big New Ager, and I still like a lot of those beliefs. I still believe in past lives and shit. Now, I will say this, I'm a critical thinker now. Nobody ever taught me critical thinking skills. I didn't learn that until like my late 20s. So I'm of the mindset, do I believe in past lives? Yeah. Do I think I actually have, do I think I've had past lives? Yeah. And I think I've had experiences where I might have had glimpses of past lives. Yes. Can I tell you that's 100% what it is? No! I don't know what it is, but I know I've had some odd, wonderful spiritual experiences. A lot of people have that they don't know how to put names on. I just stopped labeling things. And I always felt like it was really weird. I always felt like I had this, whatever you want to call karma. I don't really even, you know, I'm not saying I jump into one extreme or another with what it is, but I have this belief that, you know, it's possible that we've all had different lives before and we've done things, and sometimes when you do shitty things, the next life you gotta, you know, do things to counterbalance that, to learn lessons, to gain compassion. And I always had this feeling that I had done something in past lives where I really, you know, screwed around with people's health and bodies, and this is my karma now, if that makes sense. I know it's gonna sound really weird to people. Again, this is like my new age stuff, but you know, and I did this video talking about it. I hit 10,000 subscribers and I freaked out because I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I was like, I'm just gonna be honest with people and tell them. I told everybody this, and people were like, what the fuck, you're crazy. You know, because I was in like that skeptic community, skeptics. But I have no more of that guilt. I have no more of that guilt. Who knows if that's real? Who the fuck knows? But regardless of whether it's real or it's not, regardless of all of that stuff, you know, as long as I can try to help people with my experience, I feel like I'm on the right path in life. So yeah, I've missed amazing opportunities with working with huge recording artists. I've missed opportunities to, you know, go back and live in France and an amazing life. I've missed a lot of money opportunities, but you know what? Those things, in my opinion, aren't important. What's important is to follow your heart, and what's important is to do what you feel is right. And sometimes our bodies stop us in our tracks from doing something because there's something else that has to be done first. And I think that with all the chronic illness stuff going on, I'd like to be another voice that helps people find solutions, because I don't believe people should be in pain the way they are. I don't believe people should be sick the way they are. And if there's a way that we can fix it and can help it, well, by God, let's fucking all band together and do it. So, holy shit, long video. We covered a lot. Sound off in the comments, please. Like, subscribe, comment. The more you comment, the more it helps my video. The more you like, the more it helps my video. If you feel to share this with other people, chronically ill people that you think could benefit from this, or whoever the fuck, please do. I would love it. I'm trying to build my channel back up. It's frustrating. We're gonna get there though. I have faith we're gonna get there. Yeah, if you think this could benefit somebody, please share it. And subscribe if you want. Oh my God, something else. Ow, I just hit myself in the head. This is so frustrating. Hold on, half burp is coming. There it is. So, I found out recently, and I know people have been like, hit the notification button. And I never talked about the notifications that much, but YouTube has done this thing now where if you subscribe, you may or may not see my videos. If you hit the notifications, you may or may not see my videos, and you may or may not see my live streams. I do plan on doing more live streaming. So please, if you don't mind, hit the notification button. It sucks. It's like giving you several fucking things to do. I don't want to give y'all shit to do. Homework for me. I don't want to do that. But if you like this, you support it, every little bit helps. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment. Yeah, there's your homework. 4 things. Go at it. I'm sorry. I feel like I can ask some of those people I don't like to ask for things anyway, but you know, fuck it. I gotta do what I can to grow my channel, and if you enjoy the content, I would like to get it too if you want to see it. So, okay. Long ass video. I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you soon. Blessings. Oh my God, this was so long. Mwah. Goodbye.